Greetings, my fellow free motor solving thinkers, LL3's this podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy Mango, South Florida, and today's date, Friday, September 7th, 2018. So let us begin. Oh, hopefully everyone's doing okay out there. Thanks for tuning in. Yep, it's early Friday morning. I'm at the New River, just hanging out, chilling. Pretty cool. You may hear the trains in the background, but I'm way far from it. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking on some areas, which I find very interesting as usual. May not take that long, so we'll see how far this goes, right? Okay, well, first off, I'm just going to address this one here from whowhatandwhy.org. Whowhatwhy.org. It's a blog post from Jimmy Falls. Came out yesterday. It says here, Trump is dangerous, but hashtag resistance. Just as dangerous? That's the question. Yesterday, the New York Times took the rare step of publishing an anonymous op-ed from a senior official in the Trump administration on part of the resistance inside the Trump administration. I work for the president, but like-minded colleagues and I have vowed to throw out parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. The op-ed comes hot on the heels of revelations from soon-to-be-published book Fear, Trump in the White House by longtime investigative journalist Bob Woodward, which the piece referenced by hyperlink, like the op-ed. The book highlights administration officials' efforts to mitigate the president's rash decision-making and unhinged behavior. The op-ed author makes clear that his resistance does not originate from the left. We want the administration to succeed and think many of his policies have already made America safer and more prosperous. The problem, the official says, is President Trump and erratic behavior and amorality. We can get a clearer picture from where the author stands by placing Trump behavior and what he or she considers good and bad. Good things about Trump: effective deregulation, historic tax reform, and more robust military. Bad things about Trump: attacking conservative principles of free minds, free markets, and free people, anti-trade, anti-democratic leadership style that is impetuous, adversarial, petty, and ineffective, half-baked, ill-normed, and occasionally reckless decisions, flip-flopping, preference, autocrats, and dictators like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, lack of appreciation for traditional allies, not imposing sanctions of Russia, but because of a Skripal poisoning, not appreciating John McCain. Well, all I can say is this, based on John McCain's actions as a congressman especially, how do you have to appreciate a man like that hates freedom? So all the McCain sympathizers out there, prove me wrong, please. Let's just be honest. You don't need to be a White House insider to realize that Trump is not qualified to be a commander-in-chief. All you have to do is scroll through the president's Twitter feed or watch reruns of The Apprentice. It surely is comforting to know that there are officials out there ready to stave off the potentially rash decision making of the president, with the nuclear football and all. Glenn Kessler. Trump signs defense bill but snubs the senator for the legislation is named after John McCain. Can I blame him? From the Washington Post. On the other hand, for Trump supporters who see a shadowy deep state out to get the president, this op-ed will only add more fuel to the fire. This line probably didn't help, so we will do what we can to steer the administration in the right direction until one way or another it's over. But this op-ed also represents what's wrong with the hashtag resistance, the uneasy alliance of left-leaning anti-Trumpers and right-wing never-Trumpers. Both pull their hair out at his treatment of John McCain, but not that he signed an egregiously bloated military bill passed in bipartisan fashion named after him. They are not weeping over dead children and the humanitarian crisis in Yemen that Trump and every congressperson who looks the other way is facilitating. As bad as Trump, he's not touching the military industrial complex or Wall Street. And for those paying attention to his cabinet picks, that kind of disruption was never in the cards. Because if the establishment really thought Trump was a threat to those twin idols, he would have been gone yesterday, one way or another. Indeed, Trump is the best thing that's happened to ambitious military careerists, defense contractors, and corporate executives. While the president keeps the gravy train rolling full steam ahead, they get to be part of the hashtag resistance, feigning shock and disgust at Trump's crude behavior and his cozy up to our enemies, which will need a bigger military budget to thwart, by the way. The mainstream media is working overtime to present the warmongers and surveillance states talking heads as our heroes and saviors, while never questioning the real dangers posed by the failed policies of the past. So I'm torn. Trump is obviously an incompetent, dangerous buffoon, but I'm beginning to wonder if he's the reality show distraction that the oligarchic elite wants us watching. Interesting little commentary there. And this is why, my friends, you always got to be vigilant regardless who's in there. Who's actually calling the shots? The resistance? I know there are a bunch of frauds, posers, and established cheerleaders, bandwagon hacks, parrots. They're not that tough. They're not that controversial. I consider them walking antimatter with all due respect. They're not true activists. But based on here, how deep does the rabbit hole go? Like-minded individuals, no, really, that far in. So, some of those areas we have to really recognize. Like if the economy collapsed, it'll probably point on one guy. Yeah, he brags about himself a lot, but nothing new. His Twitter is transparent. Sometimes you agree, sometimes you don't. That's how I see it. Of course, the naming a bill after John McCain, I would have shot it down anyway. To be very, very surprised. I would have stood up, do the Caesar salute, go John McCain. God bless the Patriot Act. It's done for our own good. Absolutely. To all you McCain sympathizers, I don't give a damn what you think. He is was nothing more than a New World Order asset. But you know what? Let's get rid of the status quo. Go back as a republic, one state at a time. Denounce the United States of America as a federal corporation. Even on September 11th, they're going to call it Patriot Day. The question I have for everyone there, are you safer after the post 9/11 agenda? All you got to do is examine your surroundings thoroughly. Yes, the resistance, in my view, are just as dangerous. You have Hillary Clinton speaking about that group. I knew right there they're nothing more than garbage. Charlatans. Quacks. It's a versified, established movement. And Trump. The Trumpsters out there, if he does wrong, have the courage to criticize. Don't go, well, Obama did it. Then your principles are out the window, just like the Obamanoids. Always observe responsibly. Yes, next one here, News with Views. Interesting article here. The Democrats' Second War Against Liberty is by Ron Edwards. Came out today. One of the most horrendous legacies against individual rights and liberties throughout American history is the abysmal history of the Democrat Party founded by American Indian, black people hating Andrew Jackson. Like Muslims, communists, anti-fuck gumps, etc., most Democrats don't have a soft spot for unalienable rights, which come from God. Democrats have an overblown self-image of elitism, and the money you earn working hard or smart belongs to them. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi trashed the Trump tax cuts for working Americans as crumbs, yet grumpy government elitists recently let it be known that she wants those crumbs back into the government's coffers. I say, to hell with that sap. So much caring about we the people, in fact, just a few exceptions thrown in for good measure, the Democrats really cared about or liked people they could not control or lord over. Thank you. I'm very inspired. I was asked recently by a concerned American, why do most Democrats seem to hate people who want to strengthen our nation? To which I answered, Democrats and other people of the left detest our republic first and foremost. Well, that's been going on since the 1871 Reconstruction Act, at the least. Democrats disdain those of us who understand that unalienable rights come from God, not from government. Democrats do not believe in your right to self-protection, self-determination, and self-reliance. They hate Americans who want to strengthen our nation because it is the first nation in history to be founded upon and dedicated to the principles enumerated in God's instruction manual, the Holy Bible. While they did use a lot of biblical references, but I will continue on here. President Donald J. Trump won the election because of his pledge to build a desperately needed wall on our southern border. He also wants to stop illegal border crossers from invading our republic and having their way. The president understands that to maintain our United States of America, we must be up to the task of protecting her. The problem is that most Democrats and other assorted leftists do not want to protect our republic for various reasons. Amongst them include bitter black American Democrats who foolishly believe that life would be better for them if the United States was flooded with non-white haters of the country. Democrats in general love illegal immigrants because for them, it's the voting bloc that will support the Golden Donkey Party's efforts to change the United States into something that more closely resembles Venezuela. So more of a club of Rome agenda, I would say, right? I know you may not believe me, but please consider the third world conditions prevalent in American cities where Democrats have ruled over 60 years. Detroit, Baltimore, East St. Louis, Missouri, east side of Cleveland, both the south and west sides of Chicago, just for starters. Senator Kamala Harris, a writer starting the Democratic Party, is frequently mentioned on a short list of contenders for the next presidential race. I'm trying to figure out why. In a speech at Howard University, Harris issued a call to arms, urging her young audience to rally behind Democrats' resistance to the Trump administration. Graduates, indeed, we have a fight ahead. This is the right to define what kind of country we are, and it's the fight to determine what country we will be. A police state, a technocratic society. Yes, and we all sing Kumbaya, God bless the New World Order. Forget, for just a second time, in priority of addressing class of students, though, as they were Democrat Party's operatives. But remember, instead, the statement itself, called to define what kind of country we are, is a dark agenda for America. Our already defined republic compared to other nations, the United States is unique in one huge regard. It's a republic defining its creation. Usually nations have been formed on the basis of common origins, ethnicities, and languages, but America was created by peoples of diverse origins and ethnicities. The Union was sealed in a set of founding documents that insisted on the equality of its inhabitants, regardless of their origins. But regardless of the vast spectrum of unequaled overall achievement and opportunities, the leftist Democrats continue to war against liberty, prosperity, and a great America. Just as the Democrats of old all sought to destroy our republic to maintain physical slavery, today Democrats seek to enslave all Americans in one way or another. They are seeking to go wage war against the president's rollback of regulations. They have left it to be known they will stifle our economy growth by raising taxes even higher than they were under the Obama administration regime. The Democrats are also warring against our national sovereignty with unlimited open borders and continued indoctrination of American students against our own nation. Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, it's Ron Edwards' Experience Talk Show, emanating from flagship station KCKQ 11 AM 1180, Reno, Nevada, American Matters, Shure Media, and Spreaker. Oh, so you can, it's all about the show here. So it's Ron Edwards, that's his little thing. And it was funny about that, because if you really study what's going on, the banksters are involved in this, the World Bank, the IMF, etc. They're the ones who are funding these movements, like I said before, time and time again. Even fellow Republicans were involved with the war against liberty, outlaw George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Insane McCain, etc. With the war on terror. You have to see that too, my friends. Government in Latin means control of the mind. Once again, practice what you preach, fellow Republicans, because you got your criminal elements in there as well. And don't get me wrong, I have no lovey-dovey for many of these Democrats as well. What government knows best, screw the rest. They have that mindset too. That's why I never trust government, period. I'm not afraid to call out all clowns in politics. A lot of them in my district, they don't like me anyway, because I'm not afraid to tell it like it is. I'm not afraid to call up Bill Nelson and Marco Rubio and say, how's it feel breaching your oath once again? That's right. I even told them going to the front line of battle if you support sanctions. See how tough you guys are. Just an example. It's like this, my friends. A little rebellion now and then is good. I know I talk about that with Jefferson, but he's right. Always keep these people on their toes. And each and every one of us that's for freedom, for liberty, stand for what's right. That's it. Next one here came from WorldTribune.com. Came out yesterday. Taking a measure for Medicare for All doesn't add up. By Bruce Sheldon. American politics has added a new face to propagate the same bad old ideas. Add to that a new slogan, Medicare for All. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sent shockwaves to the United States when she upset the heavily favored Joe Crowley, an important Democrat congressman in a Brooklyn, New York district, which only 13%, if I'm correct, only 13% showed up for the votes. Showed up to vote. New York district. Instantly, it drew comparison to the Cantor Brat upset in 2014 in my home district near Richmond, Virginia. Eric Cantor was an establishment Republican, many favored to win Speaker. Instead, he lost his primary to Dave Bratt, an economist professor at a local college running as a Tea Party conservative. Ocasio-Cortez has recently achieved celebrity status as many progressives have fallen in love with the socialist platform she ran on. In many ways, she has become the new face of American socialism. Medicare for All is a progressive's new focal point. It's a bill proposed by Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and defended by Ocasio-Cortez. In its essence, the bill seeks the expansion of Medicare into a universal single-payer health care system. Sanders and Ocasio Cortez seeks to emulate Europe by establishing an American universal care system. Yes, I want everything handed to me. I want them to take care of my health because I can't do it myself. The bill seeks to eliminate people's need to pay their own health care, as so many Americans find themselves unable to pay for adequate medical care. Thank you to the HMO Act of 1973. But the so-called dependents don't want you to know that. This free health care would be available to everyone, including those with pre-existing conditions. Sanders claimed that 29 million Americans are without health insurance, and this bill would provide them with health care free of cost. Where's my magic lamp, Bernard? The philosophy of socialized medicine aside, this bill would have some flaring flaws. Chief among them, there is no feasible way to pay for this healthcare plan. Free is never free after all. According to estimates in an independent study, Medicare for All will cost a whopping $33.2 trillion over 10 years. To compare, the total American debt is currently over $21 trillion. How in the world does the left plan to pay for this healthcare plan? Ocasio-Cortez tried to argue cuts in Americans' defense spending would be enough to pay for the plan. The United States government continually spends $590 billion on defense, and its total budget in 2017 was $4 trillion. Medicare for All will cost the states $3.2 trillion a year, a number almost equaling the total budget. And the entire U.S. military was eliminated to pay for Medicare for All. It will still cost an extra $2.6 trillion. In its fantasy world where it's DAX on the table, the U.S. would have to add $2.6 trillion a year, in addition to the $700 billion deficit that already exists to the national debt, even if defense spending is eliminated entirely. Ocasio-Cortez has further argued the plan would save more money than it spent. She pointed to a study concluding that it could cost $2 trillion less than the current amount spent on health care in the United States because costs to providers would be magically slashed by 40% as part of Medicare for All. That study actually said the cost would be $32.6 trillion to the federal government, even with provider costs being slashed. Without provider costs, the plan will cost $40 trillion. However, neither Sanders nor Ocasio-Cortez has indicated how the bill will go about slashing provider costs. Of course, not even Ocasio-Cortez would be willing to push for the dissolution of the American military to be part of her insanely expensive agenda. Instead, she and Sanders shy away from the hard questions. They don't concern themselves with the details and instead focus on pushing the message, free universal health care for all. This bill is the ideological equivalent of an average middle-class American making $50,000 a year, arguing that they cut out going to the movies, they will finally be able to afford a private jet. Of course, the bill won't be free. It will be paid in massive tax raises. Medicare for all to be feasible, progressives would need more than double tax revenue in the United States. After all, they will need to find $3.2 trillion a year program unless they slash government spending to the bone to make room for it. Sanders proposed his own options on how to fund his high-cost program. They would include 7.5% tax income increase, increasing the death tax up to 52%, increase on taxes on the rich, increases capital gains, increased taxes on business, and decreasing available tax deductions. However, even if everyone on Sanders' tax increase were passed, it would represent a $16 trillion revenue increase over 10 years, half the amount needed to fund Medicare for All without extreme budget cuts. Sanders' suggested cocktail of punitive tax increases only reaches the high point. That is a terrifying thought, considering the economic consequences such a sharp tax increase could have on our GDP and average Americans' wallets. wallets. The number, simply put, are not the side of Medicare for all. So, what Mr. Bruce Shelsman said is nothing more than a pretentious pipe dream. So, even with fiat money and Hoover, President Hoover revisited, taxing the rich and all that. Nope. That's why the Great Depression went more down the drain during that time. That's a fact, my friends. You have to see it that way. Study your history before jumping on some arrogant bandwagon. Don't be a parrot. Have merit, not because these clowns say so. You can thank the HMO Act of 1973 that put the health care crisis, and they called the Affordable Care Act, which is totally unaffordable. 900-page plus debacle, and even the late, great James Traficant was critical of it. So, you still going to fall for it? I'm not. I know people or friends of mine from different views may not like what I say, but I look at things in the bigger picture. I'm going to have the government take care of my health. You are out of your confounded mind. You better start doing your homework before jumping on this parade, because it's very pretentious. And it's just an example. One more here. And if I'm correct, it came from Freedom Outpost. It came out yesterday? Yeah. By Tim Brown. Cannot hearings and hearings on social media censorship demonstrates how Republicans run interference for commie Democrats. Like it says here, all the Russia investigation, these hearings about social media censoring and the Cannonball hearings are nothing but a dog and pony show. The establishment is going to do what they want. The Constitution and the people be damned. No justice will be brought to anyone, and the machinery of tyranny will continue because the people, for the most part, are mad, but not mad enough to do anything but vote for a party line, not bring about resolve as our forefathers did. The people are more entertained than anything with American politics. If you have ever wondered or still have questions to whether the establishment Republicans in D.C. are running interference for communists against Democrats, let me put to bed any doubts you may have. The clearest example came during the hearings to confirm Brett Kavanaugh, to the Supreme Court and the senator in questioning of Jack Dorsey in a House committee meeting. The difference in how Republicans handled those opposition in the Kavanaugh hearings, and they handled a journalist, Laura Loomer, who asked questions rather than playing softball with Twitter's Jack Dorsey, a promoter of pedophilia, says volume. As you watch the videos, think WWE. First, take a look at a few outbursts that occurred during the hearing. Yeah, you have these established clowns or just complaining. There's more. Listen to all the hoopla going in the background. Notice how Republicans do nothing regarding the outburst. Of course, you hear that too. While Democrats lose their minds over Brett Kavanaugh, the real concern with Kavanaugh is withholdings on the Second Amendment. Roe versus Wade were concerning his involvement of the cover-up of the Vince Foster murder. Yes, it was murder. And they're right. The question, the Vince Foster murder. Okay. Now we take a look when investigative reporter Laura Loomer, who earlier this week went after Representative Keith Ellison over police reports and claimed the two women who accused them of abuse, both verbal and physical. And of course, Loomer interrupts Jack's testimony before a House committee hearing. When the hearing's attendees were engaged in a nonsense softball questions of Jack Dorsey during the House committee hearing, Loomer stood up and began to ask questions of her own. However, instead of being heard, Representative Billy Long, Republican from, I believe it was Montana, a good-for-nothing representative, Launch an auctioneer mode to silence Loomer's questioning. Forget for a moment that Long was interrupting with this nonsense and not called out of order. He was merely running interference in the matter to keep real questions from being answered in the matter. Perhaps he would do much better auctioneering than representing. How did people in the room respond to Long's smug response to Laura Loomer? They laughed and clapped. Here is a man who is supposed to be a representative of the people, but seeks to shut down serious questions regarding Twitter CEO, something that he will not do because he is a not true representative of the people, but a joke. But like many other in committee with him, I have to say, I'll say it again, all of the Russian investigation, these hearings about social media censoring and the accountable hearings are nothing more than a dog and pony show. The split establishment is gonna go do its way in the Constitution, and the people be damned. No justice will be brought to anyone, and the machinery of tyranny will continue because the people, for the most part, are mad but not mad enough to do anything but a vote for a party line, not bring about resolve as our forefathers did. The people are more entertained than anything with American politics. And all the writing we do on any of this is no one is going to bring justice, and no one's going to be going to do the right thing. If that is your hope, if hope is a congressman, a senator, or a president, then you're under an incredible delusion. And yes, Republicans bear as much responsibility in their do nothing attitude as Democrats do in their advance of Marxism. And he's right. That's why, my friends, never trust these clowns. It's okay to ridicule them. They're pieces of garbage. Getting too obvious. Old song and dance is over. You can't ask hardcore questions. Then you know what? You're not those people who are representatives. These committees are nothing more than treasonous quacks. Benedict Arnold was more patriotic than these douchebags. That's how I see it. And you know what? Prove me wrong if you dare, once again. And you know what? That is all. I thank everyone for listening, plus feel free to download and share it throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or send something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. Hit me at all the social media sites where I'm going to post on Spreaker, including my email addresses, which I will say it here. LookYourLuck number 3, LookYourLuck3 at gmail.com, or to cryptid ones. I have a Proton Mail account, LookYourLuck numbers 03 at protonmail.com. Woo! All right, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance to the zone can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.